Alright, so I've already made a short about this, but I want to go more in depth into a topic that's become very near to me over the past few years, something I've become very familiar with more recently as well: grief. Now, grief is something I've struggled with over the past few years, majorly when my mom passed a few years ago, but it's something that I've also spent more time giving myself a hard time about rather than figuring it out. But life is better when you don't beat yourself up and you keep moving forward. Alright, now grief. Grief is when you lose someone or something that means something great to you. It's usually associated with the death of someone, but it could be anything, any type of loss of relationship, loss of job, loss of sense of self. And I surely lost myself after my mom passed. My mom passed a few years back, and it just really shook me. Not even immediately. That was the hard part. And that's what I'm getting into next. Okay, so here we got the Kubler-Ross framework for dealing with grief. This goes denial, into anger, depression, bargaining, and then acceptance. Now, when you're in one of these phases, it's really kind of hard to tell you're in one of these phases. I know I dealt with depression for a while. That was extensive, and that was extensively hard for me to break out of. I felt very helpless and overwhelmed. I was hostile, all that. But, I dealt with a lot of anger also. I felt like that really went hand in hand. I spent so much time in denial, and then when I moved on to those, to anger and depression, I spent so much time denying things that I didn't know where to look. I wanted somebody to come save me, but I didn't know how to accept help either. So I had to get into a space where I could really help myself, because I didn't want to hurt anybody. So that bargaining phase was extra hard, because you're trying to find your way again. And then when you finally name it, name what you're going through, name that emotion, and you are able to really look at it, face it head on, it becomes easier. The best thing I could do is to kind of show how those things were in my head. And as you notice, anger is the biggest here. And I felt that my anger really shone through, because I was avoiding everything. I had a huge wall of defense. I couldn't get right. It's a struggle to feel like you've already been through this. You should be over this. And that really gets into my next idea here. So this is perfect. This is perfect because this is, again, what you expect to experience. The flow, some type of flow. Like, once I get to acceptance, it'll be over. But this is really how it works. You go all over the place. Look at that. You can't describe it any better than it's going to be a roller coaster. And it's really hard when you care about people. You're conflicted about how you handle things. It's really hard to ask for help. It's really hard to accept the help once you get it as well. But you really have to take it, and you have to use it. You have to make use of the help that you receive, and also look at other methods. Now, this method is called the 2-track model of bereavement by Dr. Simon Shimshon. Now, this model basically says that people fall into either track 1 or track 2 when they're dealing with bereavement, when they're dealing with grief. And so track 1 focuses on the biopsychosocial functioning of that person. So here you see it deals with anxiety, depression, your traumatic responses, familiar relationships. Now, track 2 focuses on a person's memories, their feelings, their emotions surrounding the situation, the loss. the grief. Now this one deals in things such as imagery and memory, your positive perceptions, your negative perceptions, conflict. I spent a lot of time really reanalyzing where I was when I looked at this model, because I spent a lot of time in track 2. I really was looking at more so track 1 before, but once I started asking myself questions that were centered around how I was dealing with things pertaining to track 2, I was able to figure out a lot more that I hadn't seen before. Now this helped enable me to get back into my meditation and to doing it consistently. I started using this app to track it called Insight Timer, shown here. Now, anytime you open the app, they got a daily quote. And what I really love about it is the fact that, quotes always hit. They're really good. They're always different. And there's quite a community on this app as well. And with the quote, they include references based on religion, based on philosophies. And so here you see they got Hinduism for the one that I just showed. But there's also Islam here. There's Stoicism. There's all types of stuff. And so I really look at them all and I try to let that divide be broken, because I used to look at religion a certain way. I won't really get into that today, but I'm accepting of all. This app also has a journal, so you can write your reflection on whatever you did that day. So your breathing exercises, your yoga, your meditation. And so I keep track of what I thought of, what I felt during my meditations on there. There's a bell. There's a nice timer. I set it for 10 minutes. It's really good. I can't get into my Apple account right now. That's where all my journals are. But I also keep a hard copy of a journal as well. I have a few actually. And man, I'm telling you, this stuff helps. Well, at least it's helping me, and it's going to continue to help me. Another thing that's really helping me is chess. I take screenshots of some of my checkmates. On my other phone, I had, some of the videos of some of my games. It's really nice. I get on here and I'm learning a lot about chess, and it's helping me with my patience. It's helping me to really stay locked in, understand that just because I start strong don't mean I'm going to finish strong, and just because I started bad doesn't mean I can't turn it around. And this is probably the least important stat to me. Really, I just took this to show I've played a lot of matches. Most of this is from this year. I've played over 3,000 now, so I've lost quite a bit, and that has made me accepting of loss and more looking at it like it's practice. It's all practice. I'm just glad to be able to play, glad to be able to learn. But I understand even with all that prior practice must continue. It's something I gotta keep doing. I gotta keep going with the process. Grief is gonna come and go, but you know how to deal with it. Trust that it'll work out.